What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video, and in this one we are continuing the 2022 draft class analysis here. The Patriots' third, fourth round pick, a very surprising one as they go quarterback. I was not expecting them to go quarterback this early. If they did go quarterback, I thought it would be much later. In the fourth round, though, pick 137 overall, the Patriots go Bailey Zappe, quarterback from Western Kentucky. Now, this is a guy I would say the Patriots definitely did not push for. This is one of the only draft picks, unfortunately, in 2022. It looks like the Patriots didn't really push for. Again, he was ranked 107th on PFF's big board, and then he had an average draft projection of going about 139. So the Patriots really got him where he was expected to go. Now, again, I'm a little surprised this is where the Patriots decided to go with quarterback. I don't hate the idea of going quarterback. I think the Patriots do need to find a serviceable backup for Mac Jones. Obviously, Jarrett Stidham isn't that guy. Jarrett Stidham is easily on the outside looking in. Brian Hoyer is not going to be a serviceable backup in the NFL. At this point, he's there for more coaching reasons. And a lot of Patriots fans are going to say, okay, well, why not just hire him as a quarterback's coach? And that's because, hey, that's an ideal situation for the Patriots, but that's not an ideal situation for Brian Hoyer. You have to look at it from a reality standpoint. Also, if Brian Hoyer does become the Patriots quarterback coach, he's done playing in the NFL, he's going to be making a lot less money, and he's going to be putting in a lot more work. So I do think backup quarterback was a position that the Patriots did need to find at some point. It was more of a low-key need for the team. But in the fourth round, wasn't expecting them to go kind of backup at that point. I do think this team did have other needs that should have been more looked at than a quarterback here in the fourth round. Let's remember, too, that the Patriots didn't have a fifth-round pick after trading up in the 2022 draft, so their next pick would be in the sixth round. But I will say I really, really like Bailey Zappe a lot. I think that he fits this Patriots system really, really well. And I do think that, hey, if the Patriots wanted to wait till like the fifth or sixth round to get Zappe, he likely would not have been there. I definitely believe that a team would have grabbed him. So I do think that if this is a guy the Patriots really wanted to develop, a guy the Patriots really wanted to have backing up Mac Jones, then this essentially is where they would have had to get him. Now, Zappe is coming off an absolutely insane historical year. He threw for 288 first downs thrown for 2021. That is the most in PFF history. And he put up just absolutely insane numbers this past year. I mean, we're talking like Madden-esque type numbers you just do not realistically see in football. In 14 games, he put up 5,967 yards, 62 touchdowns with only 11 interceptions and a 69.2% completion percentage. This is a guy that if the Patriots didn't draft Mac Jones last year, I'd be very excited to see where he could go from a starting standpoint. Now, PFF says that he can operate at a high-volume passing offense, but the question mark to him is, can he handle NFL pressure? He was pressured on an FBS low percentage of 12.9% of his dropbacks in 2021. So really wasn't pressured too much. I think he is coming into a scheme like the Patriots that could really benefit that. Now, I do think that either way, coming into the NFL, that number is going to be higher. NFL pass rushers are much more scary than what he's had to go up against in college. But again, the Patriots are a team that really focuses year in and year out on stapling that offense, whether it is starters, whether it's backups, and making sure that that offensive line is going to be one of the best in the National Football League year in and year out. Again, PFF did predict that he would go in the fourth round, as he did, and they say that he might not blow anyone away with his physicality, which, again, when have the Patriots ever cared about that? Example, Jarrett Stidham. Example, Brian Hoyer. Example, Mac Jones. Example, Tom Brady. We can go on and on. They're not a team that really cares about that physicality aspect with their quarterbacks, but they say that Zappe will not look out of place on an NFL field. He figures to be at least, they say, at least a very good backup for a long time. Again, obviously the Patriots really didn't need help at quarterback. They did need to find that future backup for Mac Jones. Just in case anything is to happen to Mac, you do want a guy who's going to be able to continue to handle the team, handle the offense, get you into the playoffs, potentially win some playoff games, and the Patriots don't have that outside of Mac Jones. That's been proven time after time. Jared Stidham, Brian Hoyer, those guys at this point, they are not going to win you playoff games. They're really not going to win you games, period. And you cannot just rely on your running back core and either Brian Hoyer or Jared Stidham to win you games if Mac is to go down at some point. You again needed that serviceable backup, a guy that could really take those reins if Mac is going to miss some time, and Bailey Zappe is exactly that guy. Now, Zappe isn't going to push Mac Jones in the sense of him losing the starting job. This isn't a moving the needle for Mac Jones in any way, shape, or form. It's really just a guy that you're looking to be a very serviceable backup for Mac Jones in any cautious situation, a guy that can really help lead the scout team, help test the defense. And I mean, hey, if all goes well and Bailey Zappe really shows out, maybe when the time comes, the Patriots can push a second or third round pick for him, maybe get extra compensation back for him despite picking him in the fourth round. Throughout his 3 years in college, he's put up excellent grades. This past year, he put up an overall PFF grade of 87.8 with a passer rating of 18.5. In 2020, he put up an overall grade of 84. He appeared in just 4 games that season, though. But despite only appearing in 4 games, was still able to pass for 1,829 yards, averaging 8.4 yards per throw, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a passer rating of 112.3. In 2019, was able to put up a 90.7 overall PFF grade, appearing in just 1 game, in which he was able to throw for 303 yards, averaging 7.6 yards per throw, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a passer rating of 110.7. This past year, he put up a overall passing grade of 87.4, an intermediate grade of 75.9, which is a little bit low, but a deep grade of 97.6. This man's deep ball is insane. He also put up an elite no-pressure grade of 90.2. That offensive line for Western Kentucky was really good, really didn't get pressured all that much, which, again, that's why there is a really big question on how is he going to transition to the NFL once he gets NFL-ready pressured. He ranked 14th in adjusted completion percentage with 77.3%. He was tied for 24th with big-time throw rate with a 6.5%. Turnover-worthy play rate was only 3.1%. That was tied for 66th. His deep yards ranked first with 1,805. Screen yards ranked 5th with 655. And his average time to throw was tied for 15th. It was about 2.4 seconds. You do want that to be quicker, especially transitioning to the NFL. I'm not too worried about that. Again, a lot of guys in college have to transition from a longer throwing time in college to a shorter time of throwing in the NFL. I do think that's something that can happen over time. So those are really the 2 things that are going to concern you is how good he was protected in college compared to what could happen to the NFL and to that average time to throw. Before we get into his NFL comparison, some things he needs to improve on, some things he's really great at, and overall where I think he's going to end up. I do want to give a shout out to the sponsors of this video, betonline.ag. Our partners over at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that baseball is back and the start of the Major League Baseball season is finally here. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so head to the website today or use your mobile device to join using that promo code CLNS50 to receive a 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, PFF says that where Zappe is going to win is that he's just a straight gamer. He's going to find ways to get the job done, and he had a high command for Western Kentucky's offense. But while he was a straight baller for Western Kentucky, while he was constantly finding ways to get the job done no matter what situation his offense was put in, he's going to have to dominate at a quicker level at the next level here in the NFL. Zappe is a guy who is predicted again to be a very high serviceable backup. He is somebody that, hey, if Mac Jones is going to go down, you should feel confident with Bailey Zappe back there. Now, look, if Mac Jones for some reason wasn't ready to start the 2022 regular season, I don't want to say, hey, be confident with what Zappe is going to do. Like, you still want to give him a little bit of time to develop, get comfortable in the offense, but hey, you're getting him on a very cheap 4-year rookie deal, and throughout that span, if Mac is to go down, if Mac has to miss some time, if Zappe has to go in for the game at any way, shape, or form, he is a guy that you should feel very confident in doing so, which again, you just don't currently have with the Patriots' current quarterback depth chart behind Mac. He's a guy that had a lot of volume, though, with Western Kentucky. He had 730 dropbacks just last year. I mean, this is going to be a guy that you have a lot of college tape on. He's somebody that knows how to throw every ball. He knows how to have leverage throws, how to throw open receivers, how to throw receivers who are really just caged in and have that press defensive back against the back of their heels. But he's really creative with his ball placement. He knows where to put the ball. He's very quick at scanning the field, which is why, to me, him in this Patriots system does not concern me, even though he is transitioning from a smaller college to the NFL. Now, despite how good he's been down the field, how good his accuracy is, despite him leading in deep yards, he doesn't have a big arm, okay? This isn't going to be Patrick Mahomes. This is not going to be Josh Allen. He doesn't have a big arm. It's what PFF considers a below average arm considering to NFL standards. But again, really the biggest thing, the only thing I can really say that you're concerned of with his transition to the NFL is that pressure rate, only being pressured on 12.5% of those dropbacks in college, then transitioning to the NFL. Even with a team like the Patriots who really solidify that offensive line and protecting their quarterback, I mean, you're going to get pressured more than 12.5% of the time. So how's he going to adjust to that? That's going to be the question. PFF gives his quarterback comparison to Nick Mullins. I've actually always been a Nick Mullins fan. If you were somebody who watched the 49ers when Jimmy Garoppolo was down, Nick Mullins was a guy that could come in as a backup quarterback and be even more than serviceable, and a lot of people even expected could be a pretty decent starting quarterback for the NFL. But at the end of the day, the Patriots don't really need a starting guy. They just need a very good backup, and I do believe that's what they're getting here from him. A guy with not great arm strength, but with pretty good accuracy, pretty good pocket presence, not mobile, not really mobile at all, which I think is also why a lot of teams have him falling on their boards, because these days, NFL teams want a guy who's mobile, but also has pretty decent decision-making also. Not Mac Jones level, but still, for the most part, pretty good decision-making. What are your guys' thoughts on him, though? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. Like always, though, I appreciate you guys for watching, and go Pats.